World Mental Under the theme, mental health is a universal human right. Under this theme, we will discuss the state and the importance of mental health in Africa, the challenges, the stereotypes, and misconceptions related to mental health. And we are going to address the unique mental health challenges faced by specific groups such as children, adolescents, the youth, the elderly, and the marginalized communities. And we will encourage participants to advocate for policies and services that support mental health in their communities and ultimately on the African continent. So a special credit is given to Sibusi Wevundra and Bame Aya Tamane, the authors of this webinar concept note. My name is Modesta Piri from Malawi, and I'm excited to be moderating today's session. Are you guys excited? So just type in the chat box your excitement levels. I want to see it. So we'll go through the ethic for the webinar. So the first ethic says, when you enter the webinar, make sure you are on mute. So keep your mics on mute, guys. Remain on mute throughout the round table. Ensure that your camera is off. We need to respect everyone else's data consumption as data is expensive in Africa. And type your questions or comments in the chat box. And when you're typing your questions or comments in the chat box, please include your name and the name of the country where you're coming from or where you're typing from. So those who have questions or comments are will be selected and they will be asked to unmute and speak. So if you are asked to speak, you must introduce yourself by name and country only, please, and then I repeat. The question or comment, if you have a question or a comment, you can type it in the chat box. So I think we can start now. Let me begin with the introduction. So the introduction goes like this. World Mental Health Day is celebrated annually on October 10th. It's dedicated to raising awareness about mental health, promoting mental well-being, and advocating for improved mental health care services worldwide. So the theme for this, for 2023, the theme for this session is mental health is a universal human right. It highlights the importance of recognizing mental health as a fundamental human right as guaranteed by international treaties and conventions, including those set forth by the World Health Organization. So basically, in Africa, mental health presents a unique challenge characterized by limited data and significant stigma. Depression and anxiety disorders are prevalent, affecting over 300 million Africans, according to the World Health Organization. So stigmatization surrounding mental health remains a considerable barrier to seeking help with many African communities, perceiving it as a taboo. So we see it as a taboo mostly in Africa. So this stigma leads to delayed or inadequate treatment, as evidenced by a study in Nigeria where only 10% of individuals with mental health issues sought for professional help. So the youth population in Africa faces particular vulnerability due to factors such as unemployment, economic instability, and academic pressure. A study in South Africa revealed that 24% of university students experience depression and anxiety. Compounding these issues is a limited access to mental health services, with severe shortages of mental health professionals. According to the World Health Organization, in 2022, more than 116 million people were estimated to be living with mental health conditions pre-pandemic across Africa. That's after the COVID-19 pandemic. So we at the Youth Alliance for Leadership and Development in Africa, YALDA, we affirm our commitment to the well-being of African youth. We recognize that mental health is not just a universal human right, but also a prerequisite for the sustainable development of the African continent. YALDA will continue to raise awareness about mental health issues, striving to destigmatize mental health problems and promote open conversations within our extensive network. By recognizing mental health as a universal human right, we at YALDA would like to address the challenges it possesses in Africa. We can empower youth to become the leaders of today and tomorrow. Let's unite to address Africa's mental health crisis. Have a stress-free mental health day. Thank you, guys. I hope this introduction serves you right. Allow me to introduce the panelists for the sessions. Like I said, my name is Modesta Piri, and I'm your moderator or your host for today. So the first panelist, we have Agnes Maziwa, all the way from Mozambique. She's a health promotional officer. Then we also have Brevius Bundundoko from Sierra Leone. He's a healthy educator and Aspire Reader Programs alumni. So you can check the screen, that's him. And we have Ntombizonke Tembe from ASOTIN. She is a transpersonal mental health practitioner, therapist, and personal coach. And we also have Dushime Jackson from Rwanda. He is a health and sanitation officer. And we have Yozua Amar from Libya. He is the founder of Maja Company for mental health and wellness consultations. That's how you can confirm on the screen. Then we have Chofa Kingsley Focham, all the way from Cameroon. He is a healthy practitioner. So right now at this point, my lovely audience, as okay, I don't know if you can see the screen. We have an overall general question that our panelists are required to answer. So the general question goes for all the panelists that I've mentioned. And on a nice note, my dear panelists, welcome on board. So this is the general question for you guys to tackle. So the questions goes like this. Discussions about mental health are being more commonplace in Africa, especially among the youth, which is a step in the right direction. As young people, how can we recognize that we are experiencing a mental health issue or that someone we care about might be having mental health challenges? What are the common signs and symptoms of mental health issues? What are some common misconceptions or myths about mental health that as youth we must be aware of as we strive to recognize the signs and symptoms and raise awareness about seeking help? So this question is recorded 3 minutes for everyone. So you have 3 minutes to respond. So our first speaker is Agnes Maziwa. Agnes Maziwa, are you confirmed if you can hear me? Yes, so you can proceed.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you so much, Agnes. So you can proceed ahead and answer the question. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much for the floor and good evening to you all. I'll start to respond our first general question. But first, before I start, I would like to just give some key facts about mental health so that everyone may understand the impact of mental health in our well-being. We have to know that mental health is affecting more than 970 million people globally, and 20% of these cases mostly are children and adolescents all over the world. And also it affects more women than men. 11.9% are women and 9.3% are men worldwide. And also suicide is the common cause of death among young people, adolescents, youth and adolescents. And approximately 1 in every 5 people, especially in post-conflict environments, have mental health conditions. And anxiety is the most common illness, mental illness, affecting more than 284 million people. So the most common signs and symptoms to discover that someone has a mental health problem, they include feeling worried, depressed, guilty, or feeling of weightlessness, and feeling of or exaggerated feeling of high, that is manic behavior. And also the person may ignore thoughts or threats. The person may engage in dangerous behaviors like drug abuse, even unprotected sex, substance abuse, and one may neglect him or herself, not taking the proper care of oneself. And also one may have strange thoughts or strange feelings. These are the common signs of mental health sickness. And for us to be able to discover that someone is mental health problems, it is very important to practice social care in communities, because normally when someone is mentally disturbed, will not realize that I am facing a mental health challenge. So it is very important to be socially aware and to take care of others, especially immediate family members and friends in those who are surrounds us, and also to practice empathy and social care. That's how we can discover that someone is mentally ill.
Yes, thank you so much, Agnes. I like your projection. You gave us the statistics of Africa. You outlined how Africa we're experiencing this mental health issues, and I like the statement where we said that some of the common signs of mental health include beauty, isolation, all that, which is a good articulation. Thank you so much, Agnes. Now I'll give the floor to Brevius Bundu Doko. The time is yours now. Just approach the general question.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, hello,
Yes,
everyone.
hello. Yes.
It's a pleasure to meet you all and for us to discuss this sensitive topic in our African sub-region. Um, I will not read again the statistics that my colleague has already said that one. So may just go through and help us understand what mental health is and quickly dive into the subject matter. So the WHO expert committee they actually described mental health as this, and I was really moved by their description. They described it as the capacity of an individual to form harmonious relations with others and to participate in or contribute constructively to change in the social and physical environment. So here you see mental health is not basically what most people tend to understand as something just related to your psychological state, but we are also considering your physical, social, emotional well-being as well. And based on this description, we can therefore draw 3 points into how we can recognize somebody that is mentally stable. Because if we know a person that is mentally stable, we can easily identify one that has poor mental health status. So like a mentally stable person may possess these three characteristics I'm going to describe now. One, you see the person, he or she always feels comfortable about his or herself. That is what I mean. They feel reasonably secured in whatever thing they are doing and adequate. They never underestimate nor overestimate their abilities. They know whatever happens to them is deemed to happen. In other words, they accept their shortcomings and they possess also self-respect. So that is some of the characteristics of a mentally competent somebody. And also, they always feels right towards others. In other words, they are interested in loving others, able to like and trust others, and even they take responsibility for others. This is just the social aspect of it, and we also have to consider it as well. And also, somebody that is mentally healthy may also possess the characteristics of being able to meet life's demand. They set up goals and you see them accomplish their goals. And also, they make better life choices as well. At the end of the day, you find them in the society, they are very productive and can be able to achieve whatsoever they are really determined to do. So now that we have acknowledged the three characteristics I just mentioned, we can be able to draw down somebody that is mentally stable, and these are some of the characteristics they possess. And recognizing someone who has mental health issues, especially a young person who has mental health issue, I have drawn again some few points which I want all of us here present in this webinar and wherever it will be played to answer these questions. If you answer any of my question with a definite yes, you are most likely to need a mental health care, because all the questions you will answer, a response of yes shows that you may be experiencing a symptom or a warning sign of a mental health, and you may require Okay. Question number one, I may ask quickly. Are you always worrying? If you're always worrying, then that could be a symptom of a mental health. And also, question number two, are you unable to concentrate because of unrecognized reasons? You can actually
Yes,
determine
thank you.
what's causing.
Thank you so much, Bravias.
Okay,
Maybe in 30 seconds, you can wrap up.
no problem.
Sorry for
Thank you.
it's okay, you can wrap up in 30 seconds.
Okay, okay. So like I was just reading up, like are you continually unhappy without justified cause? Like if you also lose your temper more easily than often, or that could be a symptom of mental health. And if you are even having trouble sleeping, or you notice that you are sleeping more than you used to do as well, that could be a reasonable sign of mental health. And also you could have mood swings, fluctuations in your mood, like you'll be happy and all of a sudden you become depressed, and later you see yourself being depressed again and then happy and all that. All that could be some positive signs that you might be experiencing mental health. And also you could find yourself in a situation wherein you always see people getting on your nerves, especially if you have children or you have siblings. All of a sudden, you just get irritated whenever they are around you or say something. And also, you start to have a feeling of perfectionism. You notice that you are always right while the other person is always wrong. And if you are somebody that experiences such thing, that could be a symptom of mental health. As we go along, we'll deduce more of these symptoms and learn them through this session. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you so much. That was well articulated. I like the outstanding description of mental health, as well as how you can recognize somebody that is facing mental health issues through the questions that you have just highlighted. Thank you so much, Bravias Kundundoko. Now I'll give the floor to Tombizo Tembe. In 3 minutes, can you just approach the general question? Over to you, Tombizo Tembe. Yes, can you hear me? Yes, proceed ahead, Tombi.
Hello.
Yes, hello, proceed.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. You're audible. We can hear you.
Thank you, but I can't seem to be able to accept your video review, but I'll keep trying. I'll just go on in the interest of time.
Yes, I hope you have the general question. So in 3 minutes, just
Yes,
approach that.
All right, thank you so much. From the previous speakers, it has been addressed what mental health is, that it refers to a person's emotional and psychological well-being and how it affects how individuals think. Looking at the question that you shared with us, you mentioned that as young people, how can we recognize that we are experiencing a mental health issue? I understand that it is very much important to recognize mental health issues in ourselves as young people or others, and it can be challenging. But it is very important to note the behaviors. How can we experience those mental health issues? We find change in behavior, noticeable changes in our sleeping patterns that I've mentioned, that our appetite, energy levels, or social interactions. We have mood swings. We find ourselves feeling sad, feeling happy at this minute. We are hopeless. The next minute we are hopeful. We find ourselves withdrawing from maybe social gatherings, hobbies that we were having interest in as people, and we find difficulty in concentrating, where we find ourselves also struggling to focus, make decisions, or maybe even recall things that we wanted to complete, maybe in a list that you have and not that you had that you wanted to complete. And also, most importantly, one aspect that we young people tend to notice is substance abuse. There's increased reliance on alcohol, drugs, and other substances as coping mechanisms, because we find ourselves being or falling into depression, negative thoughts, persistent negative thoughts like self-criticism or thoughts of self-harm because of our mental health not being stable. So the next question that you asked is that what are the common signs? I've mentioned those. What are the common misconceptions or myths about mental health that is used to must be aware of as we strive? Well, the misconceptions that we are experiencing as young people are stemming from cultural norms. We have some cultures that views mental health issues as a sign of weakness or personal failure, which lead to stigma and discrimination. So as we are striving for signs and symptoms, as we raise awareness about seeking help, I believe that to address these challenges effectively, the challenges of social norms, social expectations, and pressure and lack of awareness, we need social media to take part in revitalizing the stigma that is around mental health issues. We need government to also put in place policies that are going to be talking about mental health. We need to be educated. We need stakeholders to come together and revitalize mental health. I believe that this opportunity comes at an opportune time for people to share personal stories so that we can also be motivated to find help. We also need to support mental health initiative, advocate for mental health awareness and support initiative at workplaces or in our communities. And we have to lead by example. We also need to seek professional help, talk to someone, and find ourselves leading a healthy lifestyle. Thank you so much. Over.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tombizo Kentembe, for the profound speech. You have articulated the question so well. And what I like the most is that you have addressed the point that culture and social norms plays a role as myth or misconception. So basically, the myth and misconception around mental health issues are centered on social norms and culture. But yeah, you have actually told us the way to go. Thank you so much, Tombizo Kitembe. Now I'll give the floor to Dushime Jackson. The floor is yours in 3 minutes. Just approach the general question. Over to you, Dushime Jackson. I hope you can hear me.
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Proceed ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think most of my colleagues have touched on the common signs, and I loved everything they said. I just want to emphasize one or two things, that the signs of symptoms can be mixed. There's no like one sign or symptoms that says if you get this, you have a mental health issues. You have to have like many signs and symptoms to make a diagnosis. So someone can have a lot of stress at work and it lasts like 2 days and you say they have a mental health problem. No, that's like normal. So we have this set of criteria to say this person has a mental health problem. So I want to emphasize that when having a mental health issue means that the normal emotions are exaggerated to the point that you can't function at work, as a student, or in family. So you become dysfunctional in the society. And also you get like, for example, you may have sleeping problems. You may oversleep or have insomnia. So people experience mental health differently. So there's no like one set of criteria to say that you have a mental health issue. So we all have this mix of exaggerated emotions that make us feel less productive, hopeless, like my colleague said. So I want to touch more on the myths and misconception about mental health. It starts with people blame themselves to have a mental issue, or they blame someone else, like their parents. They say when you have a mental health issue as a teenager, they can say you have had bad upbringing, so it brings shame to their parents. They may say you are cursed spiritually, you need to go to church more often. They may say you're less intelligent, like mental health has been associated with discriminating people. Like they don't get promotions, they don't get those opportunities as others because they are discriminated. They are seen as less. So, and also they may say you are weak, you have to toughen up. They may say you need to like get a life. So, and also there's this misconception about outward appearance. We tend to see that people who actually they're always smiling, they have made it in life, we may say that one is not vulnerable to mental health. No, regardless to the sex, to the gender, to the social status, to anything, anyone can be vulnerable to mental health. So there's this misconception that mental health is for poor people, or it's for people who are, like weak in certain ways. Also, another misconception is that when you talk about mental health, it worsens it. So people like to shut down and isolate themselves from the society, thinking that if they do that and struggle and maybe deal with it, maybe time will heal everything. So there's this misconception that time will heal it. It will go by itself. So that's another misconception that is affecting how people actually utilize the health services that are available. Even though they are very few, but even those that are available are not utilized because of those misconceptions. I think I've touched on the common signs and symptoms, and also the myths. And I'd like to pass on to another panelist. Thank you.
Yes, that was well articulated. Yes. Yes, thank you so. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Yes, so thank you so much, Kishime. Yes, thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much, Kishime Jackson. I like what you and the actual mental health issues. So, as a society, as a community, we need to wake up and realize that there is difference between the mental health issues that we face, and there is actually a line between a normal stress that we face at work or we face at home with mental health issues. Thank you so much, Yoshime Jackson, for the clarification. Over to you, Yozu Ama.
Can you hear me? Hi.
Please, yes, over to you, Yozuama.
Yes. So you asked about the general question, right?
Confirm if we can hear me.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, while we're waiting for Yoshua.
Okay, great. So okay, actually I can't hear you guys. So you can hear me?
Yes.
Sure. So Okay, my name is Yusra Omar. I'm a mental health professional, and I working as a mental health practitioner in the mental health field in Libya. Regarding the importance of the mental health in Africa, especially in the youth age group, actually, I believe that a lot of the people and the new generations becomes more aware regarding their feelings, regarding their thoughts, regarding their mental health. So this kind of the aware become more and bring a lot of the questions for those younger generations. From my past experience, I hear a lot of the questions from young people like how I can know if I have any mental issues or if I have if or if I have a mental health disease. So beside what my colleague mentioned regarding the symptoms, the most common symptoms and signs of the mental health issues like in a change in behavior or some kind of the panic or manic behaviors or decrease in productivities in the social life or in the real life. Besides all that, I want to mention the somatic symptoms. So the body symptoms, or if any body symptoms like abdominal pain or chronic headache or something like that. Maybe it will be regarding to the some kind of the chronic stress or anything else. So also I want to highlight regarding how we support those people, how we support those kind of the of age group. Um, raise awareness. Raise awareness is number one to 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 make the people know what is the mental health issues, what is how we can check our mental health when we need to visit the professional mental health professional or psychologist or psychiatrist. So when we as a mental health worker speak out about those conceptions, uh, we will make a good awareness, a good education regarding the mental health. Because as some colleague mentioned that some mental health is not a disease; it is a condition, and by the time. So we should make sure that the people understand this concept because some people consider that a mental health disease is a permanent disease and it is not. So we should be actually our responsibility as a mental health worker. We should raise our voice regarding the mental health and the mental health conceptions. Also, I know and I believe in a mental health. Some mental health challenges is a kind of the maturation, personality maturation. So if we talk about that for those people, maybe they are decrease their anxious regarding the mental health and decrease the stigma regarding the mental health. So we should raise our voice, and this is our responsibility as a mental health worker. And that's all from my side. Thank you. Actually, my answer is ended. Over to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joshua. We will continue to raise our voices. So everybody joining on the call, just know that after this call, you are an advocate for mental health. Let's raise our voices, just like Joshua Amal said. We are a team that should advocate for mental health awareness. Our voices will be heard for sure. So let's raise our voices, guys. So this time I'll give the floor to Topher Kingsley Boschman to approach the general question. The floor is yours in 3 minutes. Just articulate your perspective. Over to you, Topher Kingsley.
Yeah, good evening to everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, Topher Kingsley, can you hear me?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. A lot has been said about
Or just
mental
like
health.
Ayosha Ama.
Yeah. Hello.
And we can be the voices.
Yes, we
bring
can hear
about
you.
the awareness of mental
Okay.
health in our community.
Oh,
Alright. Okay. Good evening, everyone. And I want to thank YALDA, first of all, for the opportunity you have given me to.
we can't hear anything.
Sorry. I'm sorry for that mix-up. A lot has been said about the mental health on mental health as well as the definition. I just want to emphasize that it's just actually a state in which an individual becomes dysfunctional, an individual becomes unable to cope with the normal stress of life, and that makes him or her unproductive, and it becomes unfruitful even to himself or to within the environment or the community in which he or she finds herself. I want also to say basically there are 4 types of mental health based on the mood disorder, anxiety disorder. With the mood disorder, we can talk of depression or bipolar disorders. And we can also look at anxiety disorders. We can also look at this personality disorders and psychotic disorders, which include schizophrenia. So following the signs, some of the signs and symptoms which we can use to know that somebody close to us or somebody or ourselves are having mental health issues. Some of the signs include excessive worrying or excessive fear too, yeah, as well as problems concentrating and learning. It could be extreme mood changes, as well as uncontrollable high or feeling of euphoria. That is a feeling or a state of intense excitement and happiness. So all these are signs to show that somebody is not really fine and needs help. As well as we have warning signs, there are also warning signs which include sleep disorders or sleep disorder, loss of appetite too, appetite changes, and decline in personal care, withdrawal from friends and family members. These are all warning signs to show that somebody is really, really not fine and needs help. Some of them also include a loss of interest in things that you have always loved and admired to do. Some of these things that you have always had interest in doing, and suddenly the interest, the passion is no longer there. And then you also have things like deep in a loss in function. It could be school, it could be even at work. You are no longer productive, you are not functional as you were before. So causes of mental health problems it could be childhood abuse, it could be as a result of trauma, it could be as a result of neglect, it could be social isolation or loneliness, experiencing discrimination, which include racism, social disadvantage, poverty. Poverty it's a serious problem. I see no doubt
Excuse me,
WHO makes.
Topher Kingsley, in 30 seconds, maybe, sorry for the interruptions. Maybe in 30 seconds, can you wrap up?
Okay. Yeah, just like I was saying, a lot of things are happening that will put somebody in a state in which he will require the mental health services, especially poverty. No wonder WHO has put it as one of the Millennium Development Goals, poverty and hunger. It has a lot to do when it comes to mental health issues. And some of them, briefly, let me look at some of the needs of
Yes, thank you so much.
health. Adolescents, it is a need that adolescents who
Thank you so much, Topher Kingsley,
good grades.
Osman. And
Okay.
I like your perspective of how we should be linking the disorders that come with mental health. Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
I didn't get that. Hello.
Yes. Thank you.
Sorry, you said something, I didn't get it.
Yes, thank you so much, Ofra. That was well articulated. Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. You have talked about how mental health is linked with the particular disorders such as bipolar disorders. These are some of the disorders that come through as mental health issues. So I was just yes,
Okay, that's fine.
so much. So I like the session interactive. Hello, you can hear you.
Yeah.
So I was just emphasizing the audience that what you have said is true. Mental health can come in forms of disorders. We have disorders such as bipolar, schizophrenia. So you are able to articulate all these disorders that comes in form of mental health. So thank you so much, Chofa Kingsley, for the well articulated points. And you gave us a perspective of how the World Health Organization is also tackling the same issue of mental health. So thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I love the session interactive. You can comment in the chat box. Yes, thank you. Yeah, you can comment in the chat box how you are enjoying the session. I want the session to be interactive. At this point, I will have specific questions for my lovely panelists. So this question goes to Chofa Kingsley Funchman, our current speaker. Question. So, Chofa Kingsley, there is still a lot of stigma surrounding mental health in Africa, making it hard for people, especially young people, to seek help for mental health issues. So, in what ways can we ensure that mental health services are accessible and culturally sensitive for the marginalized or undeserved communities? So, over to you, Chofa Kingsley. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much once again for the question. I want to make you understand that as a primary health care, I want to thank you for giving to me to answer this question. As a primary health care practitioner, it's an essential primary health care. It's an essential health care based on practicals, based on scientifically sound and universally acceptable methods and technology made universally acceptable to individuals, families, in their communities, and at a cost they can afford and maintain at every stage of their development in the spirit of self-reliance and self-determination. So if you have to make mental health services accessible, then it should be, first of all, you need to create an awareness, and this awareness has to be created to take away stigma. You are getting into the environment, wherever it is, whether it be in a village, a community, you get into the surrounding, and then you make them know the importance of mental health. You create awareness, and you are not just going there as a person, but you try as much as to get the the inhabitants of that village, that community involved. You are trying to get everybody involved because you are sharing the message. And before doing that, it's also very, very important you get to know the culture of these people. You know what they want, how they can react to the information. That it doesn't contradict their culture and their beliefs. Because when it contradicts their culture and their beliefs, they won't accept it. And that becomes a hindrance and a challenge. That's the more reason it's very, very important you get them involved. That's the first thing you get to do. Then our priority is to ensure that as you create the awareness, you provide equality. You make it quality and you make it affordable, and you make the mental health services accessible to them wherever they may be, whether they are in a difficult terrain. You make sure that they have access to it. It should be evenly distributed. And then thirdly, in order to promote it, there should be diversity and also equity. That's to say, if you are actually to bring mental health services in a community, get the people involved, get the women involved, get the youth involved, get even the older, the disabled, get them involved, and get the aged involved in a way that they will be dependent. You are entrusting the services to them, and then they can be like the focal point, and you train them as well. Train some of them to have the basic knowledge of identifying these signs and symptoms of mental health disease conditions. In as far as they can identify them, they can report it to those who are in position to manage. And when you make them involved, you see that the services will last. It becomes something they will be depending on, they rely on, and they can manage it, even when you are no longer there tomorrow. So it's very, very important we ensure that the services is equally distributed and everybody is involved. You reduce stigma as well. By so doing, you reduce stigma. You try as much as you can to prevent excessive acting. That is, you try as much as you can to ensure that you act on mental health cases at an early stage in such an environment, only in such a community. Mental health conditions should be identified and acted upon early, and as well as making treatment. You bring the treatment gaps very close, and as well as improving access. Just like I said earlier, when you are making it, you want to make it accessible in a community. You have to make it in a way that everybody has access to it. You provide access to it, and then you strengthen the crisis response in a way that somebody is identified with a mental health issue. It doesn't have to trek long distances in order to get help. You ensure that the help is within reach, that they can easily access and they can easily get access to. So establishing community wellness too is also another very important. That's the more reason I said it should be within their reach, that they can also get access to easily. Then it's also good to align with partners as well as the policies. You come up with programs that will help to strengthen this project within the community. So these are some of the ways we can use to ensure that mental health services are easily accessible, especially even to undeserved communities, even in communities that cannot be accessed easily. When you put all this in place, you see that it becomes easier. It becomes easy because if you look at it statistically now, you realize that a lot of people still need to know what mental health is. Coupled with the myth that we have seen, there are so many misconceptions about mental health. These people need to know. And with all this and with some other, which because of time I cannot put them down, you see that we can make mental health easily accessible to the community and as well as to our people. Thank you so much. And I think you can give the mic to another person. Thank you so much. That's the much I have because of the question. Hello, are we here?
Yes, we're here. We're here. Listening. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This, what they say, if you can hear us, we keep losing you.
Okay, yes, thank you so much, Topher Kingsley, for the well-articulated points. You have actually answered the question. You have talked about how we need to increase the access to mental health, increase the reach, involve the community, have community awareness, as well as align with partners. Hello? Yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, so you've also talked about how we can take a step to align with partners and have programs that support mental health issues. Yes, thank you so much, Shofa. Guys, I love the session interactive. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, go on. We can hear you clearly.
Yes. Can you guys hear me? Confirm if you can hear me.
Yes.
We can
Yes, we can
hear
hear
you.
you.
All right. So at this point, I can call upon our second speaker, Dushima Jackson, and he is going to. Hello? I think our second speaker. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we are hearing
Loud
you.
and clear.
So at this time, I'm going to call upon our second speaker, our madam, all the way from Libya, Yoshua Amma. So the question goes like this. This is a question for you. Suicide rates remain particularly concerning as yes. So as we are at the exponential rates of alcohol use and substance abuse.
Yes.
I thank you guys for confirming. So at this point in time, I would we also Amma with her question. So her question starts.
Oh, okay. So I think the questions regarding the most common mental health challenges that the youth or the children and adolescents faces and this time. Actually, from my side, from my point of view, I think that the emotional and the behavioral problem is the major mental health issues that a lot of the children and the adolescents faces. Actually, um, uh, something like ADHD, something like um, decrease in concentration. So anything related to the behavior and emotional problem, this is a most common things that I faced even with my clients here in Libya. Um, so but also beside of the behavioral problem, the emotional and behavioral problem, there is an anxiety. So the anxiety is the second most common mental health issues that face the adolescents, and the depression also. It is a one of the common mental health that faces this group. Um, how we can support this group? Actually, when some parents ask me regarding this problem for their children, um, um, I think the emotional the children or this age group, when they are express their feelings, it's a totally different from their parents. Because a lot of the factor, actually one of the factor is the change on the in the technology or change in the behavior that the maybe it this is kind of the behavior. It starts like a universal behavior, more than like a culture behavior or something like that. So when some parents ask me regarding this, so I'm just talking with the parents regarding the how the world is a change, how we should communicate with our children clearly, how we can understand them, using the mobile app, using the phone or computer or technology. It is the most important factor. We should care about it. So there's a lot of the things and a lot of factors that affected the mental health for the children. Also, a lot of the children prefer to use like a video games or technology games rather than get out with their friends or their colleague and get some time with them. So this is a one of the most important issues that faced. So we should be aware about our children, our behavior, their behavior, how they communicate with the other, how communicate with us, how we should understand them, how we should learn them to express their feelings. Emotional management is the main point. From my point of view, I think the emotional management is a strong point. We should raise our voice regarding that, because emotional management is one of the most important skills, which is high importance for all of the people now to understand their feelings and manage them and manage those feelings correctly and in healthy manner. That's all from my side. Thank you so much. Over to you. Thank you. Actually, I finished my answer. Over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Alma. Thank you for your contribution to the session. So I like the part where you have talked about emotional management as well as how children express their feelings in a different way than parents. So we as future parents or we as guardians to some of the young ones who might be underage, maybe under the age of 13 and so forth and so on, or within in the teenager level, we have the role to be aware of their certain behavioral change. That's emotional management, like Alma talked about. Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Alma, for that contribution. That was well articulated. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I'll have the floor go to um, Dushime Jackson. So Dushime Jackson, the question that you are going to answer is as follows. So what are some key policy changes or initiatives that could significantly improve mental health support at the national continental level? Can you provide examples of successful advocacy efforts that have led to positive? Yes, Dushime Jackson, maybe you can jump
Yes,
in.
I can hear you.
Yes. So the question for you is we are talking about aspects of policy changes. So what are some key policy changes or initiatives that could significantly improve mental health support at a national or continental level? Can you provide examples of successful advocacy efforts that have led to positive changes in mental health care? Over to you, Tusime Jackson. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'd like to answer this question by first taking things into context and ask ourselves why has mental health been neglected for so many decades, and why is it now that we are starting to see the importance of mental wellness? And I'd like also to touch on some barriers actually to make those policies possible, especially in Africa. As you may all know, let me talk about Rwanda. Rwanda has, in 1994, we had a genocide against Tutsi, which killed over 1 million of people, and the consequences have been so devastating. And it's a very big burden for Rwanda to deal with the mental health consequences of that genocide, even until now. For example, the Ministry of Health has done what we call the Rwanda Mental Health Survey in 2018, which is a major step which was taken by the Rwandan government to really estimate the prevalence of the mental health disease burden in Rwanda, because there were only a handful of studies, but which was not large scale. But now they took that survey countrywide, and the results came, and it's alarming. Let me read for you something like the results of that survey so that we get the situation in Rwanda. It was conducted from 2018 to and published in 2022, and the sample size was about 19,110. They found that mental disorders were prevalent mostly among women at 23.2% versus men, which is 16.6%. And the major disease, mental health disease, were major depressive episodes, what we usually call it depression. There's panic disorder and PTSD. And only 61.7% had awareness of mental health, and a staggering 5.3% they are the ones who use the existing mental health services, 5.3%. And among genocide survivors, the prevalence is even higher. The prevalence of mental health issues is 48.8% in males and 53.3% in females. That's roughly like, in general population in Rwanda, 1 in 5 people is suffering from mental health disease. And in general, in genocide survivors, 1 in 2 person is suffering from mental health disorder. So these are statistics that are very alarming. And I hope by this kind of data, the government of Rwanda will make significant changes to the health system so that mental health becomes comes on top of priorities, because it has been stayed there for a while. But now with this research out there, we know how huge the problem is. Now, the problem with policymaking in Africa is that these data are nowhere to be found. They are nowhere to be found. Rwanda is the third country to make this kind of study after South Africa and Nigeria. The study was conducted by WHO in those countries, but for Rwanda, it's the government which took that initiative. But if you look across Africa, you won't find much data about their mental health situation. So how can you make the policies without data? That's the main problem. So those are challenges to create policies, because a policy to be effective must reflect the reality on the ground, must be evidence-based. So the lack of data is very crucial, because many people who are suffering, they are not seeking care. They are not diagnosed, and they are underreported. So to say maybe some NGOs come and do the baseline studies and on a very small scale, and they do some small interventions, but that can't produce significant results as to achieving mental wellness. So in Rwanda, in 2011, that's where the Ministry of Health released their revised version of mental health policy, which has been focusing on the integration and decentralization of mental health services within the primary health care. What they are basically doing is bringing the health professions down there, like at the community level, from the district to provincial hospital, even at specialization. And they are also building infrastructure for mental health, and also increasing awareness to break that stigma, which is a major barrier for people seeking care. And also they are doing patient support, because unlike other diseases where you are treated and then in maybe a few months you go about, mental health, there's a study which was conducted which stated that between the onset of mental health disease and the seeking care, there's usually like 10 to 12 years apart. So imagine a person to go to seek care, they have suffered like 10 years, more than 10 years suffering. So I want to say the policy, but let me start with what we can do at personal level. At personal level, we need to be more compassionate as people. We need to get close. Sorry, you are not listening?
We are
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you very clear.
Thank you so much. At personal level, we need to be more compassionate. And we need to get closer to people, to talk to them. We need also to develop our listening skills, because listening skills is very underrated.
It's not on our side. Time is not on our side. Tushime, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you clearly. I don't know the problem.
We are following up. We are listening. So,
okay, thank you. And also we need to learn some skills and transfer them, like the coping skills with stress, because the stress will always be there. We are having unemployment as youths. We're having a lot of problems as youth, so we need to learn some coping, positive coping skills. So at national level, it's the data that is needed so that the governments can know what to do, because right now they don't know what to do because there's no data. And we need to push funds into mental health because everything is done by money. So right now, the government is roughly spending like 1% of a healthcare budget in mental health, and it's not proportional to the disease burden. And also we need to train more personnel because it's a major barrier in Africa, whereby one mental health personnel is treating like 1 million people. So like above 90% of people have unmet need of their mental health. So you asked me for the examples, initiatives. In Rwanda, there's a mobile which targets to reach the most remote areas in the country, whereby people get into a car and they travel to remote areas, and they may stay for a week doing those campaigns and then treating people as they come, just as you will do in any emergency. And also there is task shifting, where they train like community health workers or other nurses to become mental health nurse. So they don't wait for someone to become a clinical psychologist to offer that care. There's that task shifting to leverage on the existing staff. You train them for a short while and they can deliver at least the minimum package which is needed by a majority of people. And also, as one of the colleagues said, I cannot overemphasize the importance of increasing awareness, because we can do everything, but if people still think mental health illness is karma, is a case, is a curse for someone, is the punishment from God, or they need to pray very much, they will go to traditional healers or religious church leaders to recover, when they could just get to a clinical psychologist or a therapist and get the help they need. So I've really broke down what can be done at personal level and at national level. And on the continental level, yeah, the problem is data. We don't know how big the problem is. And I think it's high time that we raise our voice and do research in mental health. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much to Shimi Jackson for the contribution. You have actually inspired us with the question that we have neglected mental health for years. Why now? Why are we bringing mental health issues now? Where were we a long time ago? Thank you so much for that. And in terms of policy, you talked about having much data that reflect reality that is on the ground in terms of mental health issues, which means we have to bring evidence-based research about mental health. So thank you so much to Shimi Jackson for your contribution. Guys, I want this session interactive. Let's use the Q&A for the questions, or we can use the chat box. Or if you have any other contribution, you can just type it in the chat box. At this point, let me call upon our next speaker, who is Ntombizonke Tembe. So, dear panelists, I just want us to urge you guys that you should observe time. We're under time. So we have 5 minutes for you, Ntombizonke Tembe. The question that you tackle is, are the specific cultural or regional challenges in destigmatizing mental health, and how can they be addressed effectively? What steps can individuals take to reduce the stigma surrounding mental health, particularly in their workplaces or social circles? Over to you, Ntombizeko Tembe, in 5 minutes.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you also to the previous speakers. Yes, there are specific cultural or regional challenges in destigmatizing mental health. And mental health can vary across different cultures and regions due to cultural beliefs, social norms, and lack of awareness. So the challenges that are common in terms of the cultural stigma that we are facing is social norms, societal expectation, and pressure to conform to society. This can discourage individuals from seeking help. For instance, a man is poised to be a person who is supposed to be strong, who is not supposed to voice out his opinions or maybe emotions in terms of something that he could be going through. We also have lack of awareness. There's limited knowledge and understanding about mental health in our community, in our societies, in our families. That can also contribute to stigma. It contributes to stigma basically a lot. Basically, we need education and awareness campaigns, which are crucial to help us destigmatize mental health stigma and discrimination. So I understand that to address these challenges effectively and ensure that we reduce the stigma that is surrounding mental health in either the workplace, in either our communities or social gatherings, we have to share our personal stories. I mentioned prior that with mental health challenges, it can help break down barriers and reduce the stigma. It can show other people around us in our families that issues that affect us are not permanent. They can be tackled. We also need to have precise language, because language matters. Use respectful and non-destigmatizing language when discussing mental health. We need to avoid derogatory terms or joke that perpetuate stereotypes. We need to stop making fun of people who are maybe going through mental health issues. We need to stop labeling them as crazy or sick, or we need to stop giving them names that are going to perpetuate their behavior. We need to also support mental health initiatives, advocate for mental health awareness, and support the initiative in our workplace. We need to ensure that in our workplaces, we have wellness activities. We need to talk about mental health. We need to encourage it. We need to encourage employers to provide mental health resources and call out on mental health practitioners to come in and talk to us as their workers, so that we have good working relationship. We also work in a conducive environment. We also to lead by example as mental health practitioners, whereby we demonstrate that mental health is important, and by doing so, I believe that we would be inspiring some other people. And most importantly, as we are going through the impact of mental health issues in Africa, which is far-reaching, affecting individuals' personal well-being, relationships, we need to put more emphasis on education and awareness campaigns, which are very crucial, providing accurate information about mental health, its prevalence and treatment options can help dispel the misconceptions. Media engagement is very essential. It's a crucial tool as it can influence public perception and attitude towards mental health. And we need to promote positive portrayals of individuals with mental health issues. As I've mentioned before, we need to stop making fun of other people. We need to be sharing stories of recovery, can help reduce stigma and encourage help-seeking behavior. But most importantly, I believe that we need to be involving community leaders, because they have a very strong relationship with our community people. We need to involve healthcare professionals and policymakers. And in these efforts, we can create a supportive environment for individuals with mental health concerns. Thank you so much. That will be all from Dembendom Sonke. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for your contribution to the session. It was quite insightful. Yes, you have talked about how we had the limited knowledge about mental health has contributed to the stigma against mental health issues. And you highlighted actually the importance of education and awareness campaigns of mental health issues. So thank you so much, Dr. Zibile Tembe. I don't know if I pronounced your name correct, but thank you for that, and apologies for the pronunciation. At this point, my lovely audience, I will give the floor to our least but not last speaker, Brevius Bundu Doko. So the floor will be yours. So let me read the question in a minute. How do excessive screen time and digital device usage affect mental health of young people? What are some common signs and symptoms of technology-related mental health issues in youth? So over to you, our beloved panelist, Brevius Bundu Doko. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone, once again. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. So you have 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, tackle the question.
Okay, then I'll just wrap up and see how we can all understand the subject matter. So once again, I want to say thank you to the previous speakers. They actually made some salient points about mental health being a very really sensitive topic when it comes to our African setting. So now my task here is to describe how tech devices and digital devices or excessive screen time have actually resulted in the nurturing of some mental health issues. But one thing I want us to understand is this: tech devices, certainly they have their own benefit. They are not bad per se. Like we use them to communicate to loved ones. We use them to easily share information. Like for now, what I'm doing now, I'm holding my device and I'm giving out this message to a wider population, and which is going, and we are even using our tech devices to now connect to people so very fast in our world. But for teenagers who, like I may say, have virtually grown up in a world that has limitless information and entertainment on the internet, and especially on social media as well, knowing when to stop and or how to have healthy boundaries on screen time can be really be challenging. Like for instance, when we are talking about this, most of the time our young people are really exposed to social medias and this entertainment or gaming softwares and apps. So by so doing, they really get relatively exposed to mental health issues. And why I'm saying this is this: like social media is relatively new. Definitely, we have to understand that as well. Like for instance, Facebook and Twitter, they have been around for less than 20 years now, while the others, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, they are even newer. So like their long-term effect on one's mental health are still under research, but we have to understand that again, the social medias are not bad, but misusing them or overusing them can really take a toll on young people whose brains are still maturing, and by so doing, they can be hugely affected. Like for instance, in a study in 2021, somebody did a study and noticed that 16% of young people who use social medias and these gaming social medias especially, or who use tech devices, complain of cyberbullying. They were complaining that at least they were being bullied by through their social media handles or text messages. And also about 1 in 3 girls say they feel bad about their body shape, at least when after they have exposed themselves to entertaining apps like TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram, because the fact that they are seeing others on the screen and they want to be like that individual, and of course it will be impossible for them to be, that also have been affecting their mental health. It's just an indication. And also 40,000 US teens were sampled in a study by studies made by Twench, Campbell, and Carter. And the result found was that adolescents that spend more than 7 hours per day on screens were as twice as likely to be diagnosed with depression and anxiety as compared to those that spend less than an hour or just 1 hour on their internet in 24 hours. So these are just some studies that can help us to argue that excessive screen time can really be detrimental to one's mental health. And some of the signs that we may see in people who are really exposed to excessive screen time can be, we can shortly identify them. One, these people will be having sleeping problem. We all understand these tech devices have their own thing that they do. They emit what to call the blue light spectrum. And this spectrum has the capacity to interrupt the normal sleep and wake cycle of a person. In other words, like the hormone that is responsible for one to sleep can be inhibited because of your excessive exposure to these tech devices. And by so doing, your sleep quality is going to be reduced. And remember, if your sleep quality is reduced, there is more tendency for you to be less efficient and effective in the following day, and it can also affect your cognitive behavior in the society. Yeah, so that one could be a really huge effect of these tech devices on our young people. And also, it can also lead to detrimental effects such as mood swing. And as a result, the people will start to exhibit symptoms of depression and may become anxious, stressed, especially when they see some things on this internet and they get stick or attracted to them. I'm not saying social media or the internet is bad. I'm saying excessive exposure to screen time can have this detrimental effect on your general well-being and your mental health, of course. So, of course, let me just give a brief summary about what we are facing here in Sierra Leone. Mental health services are quite limited in Sierra Leone. They are largely centralized in the capital where I am now in Freetown. And there are only 5 psychiatrists in the country that are seeking the welfare of over 7.5 million people in the country. And as a result, in the midst, Tango, we are in Africa, in the midst of many misconceptions, Sierra Leone is also a victim that is suffering from a lot of these misconceptions related to mental health. Like most people attribute mental health to some sort of sorcery or family cause, or blaming others for the illness or the deeds of those afflicted, and several other misunderstandings. But what I always say is this: negative attitude towards people with mental health perpetrated mostly out of ignorance, because people don't really understand what these people are going through, and are leading to massive neglect and abuse and stripping people of their dignity and fundamental human rights. And we have to understand mental health, just like any other disease or epidemic that we face in Africa. We
Yes,
should
excuse
also,
me, sir. You have 30 seconds. Just wrap up in 30 seconds.
okay, no problem. So as I was saying, most of the things we do, we actually have to undertake a holistic approach. If Africa, we must overcome mental health issues. And tech devices could be just one of the key things that are really exposing our younger generation out there to be experiencing several episodes of mental health problems. And these ones will be so detrimental to the productivity and allowing the young people to be really efficient and becoming assets to solving societal issues as well. So I think the government and we mental health advocates, we have a responsibility by letting these people to understand and helping them to be using the internet and be introducing themselves responsibly to this screen time. At least practice the 20-20-20 rule. 2020 rule, what I mean is this: by 2020 rule, you spend at least 20,
Yes.
you stay 20 feet away from your phone or your tech devices, look 20 feet away, and at least get some 20 seconds rest off your device every time. By so doing, that one could really help you to like rebuild your cognitive mood, and it could go a very long way as well. And also, let's be careful in the way as which we expose ourselves to blue light exposure, so that we can all be having some nice sleep quality, and our sleeps will not be interrupted, and our cognitives will also be in place. Let me just stop here for now.
Yes, thank you so much, Bravias Bondundoko, for the contribution. You have quietly amazed me with how you spoke this statement. I don't know if I'm quoting directly. You said something that screen time and digital technologies are not bad, but the challenges lie in the misuse and overuse of the screen time and digital technologies. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are at HUT. Our role is to raise awareness about mental health issues, as well as how people can use screen time and digital technologies for the better. We can use digital technologies to advocate for mental health. At the same time, we can also use digital technologies as well as use it as an advocacy for mental health issues. So thank you so much, Bravias Bondundoko, for your contribution. At this time, allow me to call upon our final panelist with the question. So we have a question for Agnes Matiwa. So the question goes like this: youth-led organizations use innovative approaches such as social media campaigns and community outreach programs to engage with their target demographics. So to what extent has social media been effective in raising awareness about mental health issues? So over to you, Ms. Agnes Matiwa. You have 5 minutes. So in 5 minutes, over to you.
Thank you very much for the floor. I'm going to take you through the discussion on to what extent has social media been effective in raising awareness and about mental health issues. Social media involves use of interactive technologies to facilitate creation and information sharing. And social media have proven to be effective in conducting mental health campaigns, as it can reach a wide audiences in the shortest amount of time. You can reach various audiences. For example, in many countries, like now we are connected from different countries, and people have, can access information on real time. So it's very effective in reaching out to all audiences. And we have learned a lot on utilization of social media in disseminating information, especially during this period we are living in, where diseases, epidemics, and pandemics are influencing people's movement and interaction. We have learned some lessons from the COVID-19 pandemic that had restrictions in people's movement and people's gatherings, and that affected even community engagement activities. So internet-based social networking services like WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, in particular, they offer easy and cost-effective methods to access large number of people in different geographic areas. And it also cuts those barriers to access healthcare services, and it enables people to make health-related decisions, and it empowers individuals to develop personal skills, even in management of mental health problems. And there's an increasing trend in the awareness of mental health with effective use of digital media as platform for disseminating information, in promoting awareness and engaging underserved communities, since we are aware that mental health professionals, they are very few. If you say the proportion of mental health professionals in the population that exists, there's a big gap. So utilizing social media, uh, uh, they can reach a large number of population. And this can also encourage people to have a health-seeking behavior. And research indicates that more than 70% of adolescents and young adults use general social networking platforms like WhatsApp, and everyone nowadays have access to mobile phones, televisions, radios. So utilizing social media to raise awareness about mental health is effective, as everyone will have access to information. And our target population, people who are most affected by mental health problems, they are usually adolescents, and these people have access to social media. Also, social media, when it's being used in health communication, it can promote and provide social and emotional support, and this can also help to reduce stigma, as people, when they get knowledge from the other awareness, it can help to reduce stigma and discrimination in communities, in targeted communities, especially in those communities where services are not available.
Yes, so Madam, maybe in 30 seconds, you can wrap up. Thank you.
Okay, so social media increases access to resources, advice, and access to specialized professionals, because some of the professionals live far away from the target population. But whilst we are using social media, we can reach hard to reach population. And also social media can enable people to participate in online platforms or groups that can provide a sense of belonging, and it can also give emotional support to the people who participate in those social platforms. Also, social media plays a vital role in disseminating information, as I have said before. And in addition, digital resources can reach people who would not otherwise have access to mental health services, and can play an important role in prevention, detection, and even treatment of mental health disorders, because nowadays someone can book consultation with someone even in European country, whilst we are in Africa, and get treatment of mental disorders. Yeah, thanks. Over to you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Madam. Thank you for your contribution to the session. I like the point where you talked about the law of social media. So social media plays a law of disseminating information. So we can turn social media to work for our good. We can use social media to disseminate information. So my lovely audience, ladies and gentlemen on the call, this is the time for Q&A. If you have questions, you can raise your hand so that we allow you to unmute and tell us the question. So in the chat box, we have a question from Tabalasa Kalen. The question goes like this: institutions of higher learning are mirrored with busy schedules as well as meeting deadlines, such that students and staff tend not to allocate enough time to manage their personal mental wellness. So what measures can learning or training institutions take in promoting mental health awareness amongst members of staff as well as the students? Are there specific activities that can be undertaken to promote mental health in that sector? So I don't know, somebody, maybe my panelists, the one who is ready to take the question. Yes, somebody can take up the question from the panel.
I think I can answer it.
Yeah, my hand
All
is
right.
up.
Yes, go ahead and answer it. The floor is yours.
Yeah, he said if there are specific activities, and I answered by saying that the higher learning institution could encourage like social interactions to happen, like doing networking events so people could meet and chill. They could do sports, like physical activity is related to increased mental health wellness. And also they could also offer free or incentivize, like people could use mental health professionals services for free within the institution. So I think those can be some specific activities. And also, yeah, and also teach people like coping skills, because stress will always be there. But if you know how to deal with stress, you could, I mean, they could encourage things like mental health, resilience by educating people how to cope with normal stress life. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Sarah Brevias Mbundundoko, for the enlightenment and for answering our questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, you can kindly unmute. We have a wonderful panel session. Our panelists are ready to take up your questions. So I'll give room to the questions. Let the questions keep coming. I'll give you guys a minute. If you have a question, can you kindly unmute your mic so that you can ask the question? Or you can use the chat box.
Good
Yes.
evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, good evening. Yes, we can hear you. You're audible.
Thank you. Jerry is my name. I'm speaking from Nigeria. I'm based in the northwestern states in Nigeria. First of all, I want to applaud you guys for this impactful section. And I believe the experiences being shared from other countries has given me an edge. I just want to find out, how do we address some of the challenges we have in this part of the world? Challenge that has to do with religious and cultural belief in the areas of people allowing their their children below the age of, as from the age of 3 and above, to go out fending for themselves. They go through a lot of trauma and they are affected generally. At the end of the day, when these teens grow up, they become a challenge, they become a problem to the society because of the trauma and the mental health issues they pass through. My second question is that when trying to define the issue of mental health in the local languages of where we are, for people to understand what you are talking about, because when you talk of issue of mental, by the time you just mention that mental, people become confused. They think that anybody that has mental issue is a problem. So how do we deal with some of those issues? By translating some of this, by bringing to the people the real terms of mental health in the way they should understand in their own terms. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for that question. I'll give the floor to my panelist who is ready to take up the question.
Yeah, let me take it up.
Yes, you can take it up.
Yeah, I would like to take it up. Yeah, thank you so much for the question, Mr. Jerry. I want us to understand that mental health it's something that we in this country, we are just beginning to pick up from. For years, it has been dormant. It's like nobody cares about mental health issues, so nobody talks about it. But presently, we are trying to pick up, and it's not something everybody will get to know, or everybody will get to know at once. It's a gradual something. And in a situation where people are still ignorant and they send children to go out and fend for themselves as well as maybe provide for the family. We need to make them understand. It's all about creating an awareness, creating a platform where these people need to understand the havoc of the thing they are trying to do by exposing children outside, which now makes them, it causes a ripple effect upon the children. So it will be good if we can come up with forums and organizations that will help spread the information regarding mental health related issues. When you create a platform where information can be disseminated easily, that makes it, first of all, it makes it easier for the people to understand that this thing has an effect. And the effect is not only upon the children, it affects the entire society. It affects everybody. So this platform needs to be created, and then the people need to understand that these are the effects of this thing they are doing. Then secondly, to answer the question of, still to answer the question, I want you to understand that WHO is not really like ignorant of the effect of poverty and hardship in the society. That is why it is the number 1 Millennium Development Goal. You realize that it is poverty and hunger. These are things that will predispose people, individuals, into mental health issues. So they make it number 1. And that's why now the government and civil society organizations need to come together, see how they can empower the society, see how they can empower individuals starting from their homes. Now they have gone as far as encouraging agriculture in some countries. They make it in such a way that even if you are not employed by the government, at least you should be able to cultivate something, keep yourself busy, and as well as you cultivate, you'll be able to cater for yourself, your family, and even the society where you find yourself. So these are things we need to empower the society, the government, the civil society organizations. They need to empower individuals. They need to empower families, especially here in Africa, where the government, our leaders have failed us. So we need to look for means in which we can have a coping mechanism where we can cope, we can cater for ourselves, and we can empower one another. By so doing, you realize that this poverty will be a thing of the past, and we will not be sending our children to go into the streets and expose themselves in trying to see how they can cater for themselves and as well as their loved ones. Thank you so much. I think that's where I rest my case for other panelists to continue.
All right, thank you so much, Previous Ndoku. That was amazing. You have tackled the question so well. So I saw a hand from Louis Rubang. Louis, you can go ahead and unmute your mic and place out your question. Louis, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, Mama.
Yes, proceed ahead with your question.
Okay, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, colleagues. By name Louis Lubang from Uganda, Bidi settlement. I'm a resident from a settlement by nationality, by residing in Bidi refugee settlement. I really appreciate the section that we are going through. I really love it because I am passionate about mental health. And in the community that where I live, it was on May that we do some assessment because we wanted to do some therapy on mental health. We only reached to 2 communities whereby we do research, and we found out of 100% that we asked, that means 80% of the community members are undergoing through mental health issues. So basically, where I am, our programs are based on we reach out to the refugee setting, and which is a crucial, mental health is a crucial here, where by 70% of refugees are undergoing through mental health disorders. And my question is, based on the attendance of the pupils or the student in school, basically in primary, we realized that in BDBD refugee settlement, most of the adolescents between the age of 12 years to 17, when they join their formal level, let me say from the childhood, they were okay. But reaching to those age, like when they're in primary 5, primary 4, most of the girls most of them drop out. And what I've learned from it that most of them are undergoing through mental health to adolescents. And I don't know what can really be done at least to support the girl child education. Thanks. Back to you.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much, Louis, for the question. Let me check in with my panelist who is ready to take up the question. Over to my panelist, my dear panelist. Who is ready to tackle the question? The question centers around how we can. Oh, I thought somebody was speaking. Yes. Yes, you can go ahead and take up the question.
Please kindly repeat the question. I think you just said something, and I think I'm getting lost.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so
much.
My question is, okay, my question is concerning about the adolescent who are in primary school, like the girls, for instance. You find when girls and boys are joining primary level, in P1, P2, P3, there are so many of them. Let me say the high percentage are girls. But reaching to P5 and P6, P4, P5, P6, when they are now reaching to the age of adolescent, that's when you find there is too much reduction of girls in school. It was because there is anxiety undergoing through them, and also the cultural norm, the domestic work that they're doing at home. What can really be done at least to support these girls who are in school and they always drop out and they were not able to continue with their education, basically on the refugee settings. Thanks.
Yes, thank you so much, Louis. I hope you have got the question, Amal, or maybe I can clarify a few points.
Yes, please do clarify, because I do hear that he mentions that they drop out, but I'm struggling to find out the reason why they drop out. He was a bit not audible for that part. I remember hearing about domestic work, but then I am trying to understand the other parts of dropping out.
All right, thank you so much. So his question centers around the adolescent stage, whereby young girls, specifically young girls from the village or from the setting of refugee setup, when they are going through adolescence, they face so much challenges. They face a lot of anxiety and stress. And apart from that, when the young girls are at that stage, they might be submerged to chores or household work. So at the end of the day, due to the anxiety, adolescent anxiety, stress, and all, they might resort to dropping out of school. So his question was, how can we make sure that we are promoting mental health awareness in the sector, as well as ensuring that these girls should not drop out of school, should continue with their education despite the adolescents' challenges or whatever thing that comes when they are growing. Over to you, madam. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. It's Ndombi Zonke. I remember you said you're not sure if you pronounce it right, from Eswatini. Well, that is a very good question that we are addressing right now. I believe that we need to find ways of engaging with our community parents. We need to educate our parents and communities about mental health and rights, sexual reproductive health and rights, and comprehensive education at grassroots level. Because when you are dealing with the parents about mental health, then it is going to be easy for them to ensure that these adolescent girls and young women are putting education first prior to any other duties. Then after attending their duties, then they can then do the domestic work. Also, I think we need to engage schools because they engage more with the parents to ensure that the career guidance skills training courses in primary levels or adolescent education, they put the causes of mental health whereby young girls get to understand the importance of education and trying to balance work from home and work from school. I hope I unpacked the question correctly. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, and apologies on the misallocation of the name. So the one that answered the question is our panelist, Tobizonke Tembe, all the way from Eswatini. Thank you so much. I hope we have answered your question, Louis. You can just comment in the chat box. Now I will give the floor to our last question. So we have Hazel Maseko. Hazel Maseko, the floor is yours. You can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Hazel Masoko from Botswana. I'm a teacher and a mental health advocate. So my question is, I believe we've realized that social expectations are also playing a huge role in this in these issues of mental health. So how do we deal with social expectations? For example, if I may say, I work in a rural area here in Botswana. So most of the time, if you are a teacher or maybe a community servant, there are issues that you cannot talk about. Myself, I've experienced that. I'm a survivor of mental health issues. So there were times that I could not speak out. That's why I ended up being a mental health activist. So I just wanted to understand or to ask, how do we deal with the social expectations so that they do not or have an impact on issues of mental health? How can we reduce or how can we teach them on the importance of mental health? Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for the question. I'll ask my lovely my lovely panelist, sorry, who is ready to take up the question? The floor is yours. Over to you, my dear panelist. You can take up the question if you are up for it.
Yes.
So yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
So the question, I hope you have understood the question, or I can clarify a little bit.
Yes, she's asking us, how can the society or the rural community be educated on how to handle mental health issues, right?
Yes, exactly, on how we can raise awareness of the importance of mental health and how we can relay the message to the community, something like that. Thank you.
Yeah, the most important thing is to increase awareness. It is very, very important. You know, so many people are not aware of mental health challenges as well as the impact or the effect upon their health. So the first thing we need to do is to create awareness. And this awareness is not just going on social media, because not everybody has access to social media. Especially in the rural communities where some people don't even have phones, talk less of having access to social media. So you have to go into the community, you do sensitization, advocacy and sensitization. Then you create mental health task force if it's possible. And this mental health task force, you are using the community members. You are using members of the community And by so doing, you are also empowering them and you are also making them to be able to identify the mental health challenges. You appoint chief wellness officers in the village as well. That cases can be train them, empower. That is, you are not just only appointing, you also ensure you give them the basic knowledge, you give them the basic skills in order to manage, to identify, let me not even say manage, to identify mental health challenges, those suffering from mental health issues, and how they can refer them, because they may not have the basics or the appropriate, the recommended knowledge or the recommended skills and expertise to handle this situation. You tell them how they can be referred and to which quarter. And as they refer, they also follow up. But the basic and the most important thing is these people should know. They should have the knowledge of mental health. They should know what mental health is all about and how it affects them, how it affects the society, how it affects the rural community where they are. So once they have this knowledge and they have this awareness, you realize that it becomes easier for you to communicate with them as well as for them to identify those suffering from mental health challenges and how they can be catered for and how they can be helped. And that's where you see the society now bouncing back and coming up healthily. Thank you so much. And I think that's where I pause for somebody else to add if I
Yes.
thought there's something to add.
Thank you so much, sir, Tofa Kingsley Fashion, for the contribution. Maybe you can unmute your mic. Yes, thank you so much. I hope we have answered your question, Hazel. So you can just type in the chat box.
Can you add
Yes, you
something?
can.
Can we add something regarding this
Yes, go
question?
ahead. You can add something.
Thank you. I'm sorry. So the question was like how we can support our community regarding the mental health, or how we can raise the awareness of the mental health in our community. Uh, there is a most important factors. So if we use a traditional social activities in a good positive way with our community, I think this activities is super important and make our voice or make our knowledge, it is a near from our community. So for example, if we have a like of or a kind of traditional activities in our society, for example, us as a Muslim, we have an Eid or we have an Ramadan or we have a kind of like a social religions activities. So we can use these activities or those activities to raise awareness with our community. Me as a person, I work on these things from past 4 years. I work on these things with my family, with my friends, with my colleague in the workplace. So to talk about the mental health is a good, but to use a simple traditional language with your community, it will be helpful to raise awareness regarding that. So we should use our traditional social behavior to be near from those people and to raise awareness with them regarding the mental health and emotional management. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Shama, for the contribution. I think you have answered the question correctly. And Hazel, if you are satisfied, you can just comment in the chat box. We will get your response. So guys, at this point, allow me to let my panelists give their closing remarks. So we'll start with Dushima Jackson. Over to you, sir. You can, in a minute, just lay out your closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'd like to first thank you as the organizers for this platform to speak out on mental health issues. It's a very big privilege, and I hope this will continue. Conversations like this should continue. So my two key messages that I want to emphasize on is that mental health, to achieving mental health wellness is something achievable. And I think many people think it's not achievable. For physical health, you treat and you see results almost immediately, but with mental health is kind of a journey. So I think people should really not be hopeless about mental health because it's achievable. And the second remark I'd like to say is that if everyone is vulnerable to getting mental health issue, then everyone should participate in mental health wellness. It's responsibility for each and every one of us to participate in positive conversations, to break the stigma, to do advocacy, to do everything we can right now within our means. Let's do the little we can to advance this mental health wellness. So those are my two take-home messages. Thank you very much once again.
Yes, thank you so much, Jackson, for the contribution and for the well-articulated closing remarks. Now I'll give the floor to our other panelist, Agnes Maziwa. The floor is yours. Just wrap up with your closing remarks.
Thank you very much. I would like to appreciate for organizing this insightful event where we have learned more on mental health. And I would like to encourage the youth to continue advocating for policies that support mental health and well-being. And let's advocate for creation of supportive environments, because what affects mental health is usually what surrounds us, where people live, love, and learn and work. So let's advocate for policies that protect us in workplaces, in communities, and we have to continue engaging communities so that we develop personal skills so that people um, can develop skills of to cope with stressful events, especially during these days. There are a lot of pandemics, diseases, conflicts all over the world, and natural events like disasters, cyclones, stress. So we have to keep an eye to our communities and support our loved ones, and also check on your neighbor to detect mental health problems early and mitigate, and ensure that everyone has access to mental health services, because it's a universal human right. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Madam, for the well-articulated closing remarks. We will do what you have said. We will raise awareness about mental health to our communities and society. So at this point, allow me to let my other panelist, Tombi, yes, let me read the name again, sorry. Tombi Zonke Tembe. So in a minute, the floor is yours. Give us your closing remarks, Tombi Zonke Tembe, all the way from Eswatini.
Thank you so much. Firstly, I'd like to appreciate the recognition from Youth Alliance for Leadership and Development in Africa. I am very much honored to be part of this initiative, and I believe that it won't end virtually. Sometime we are going to meet in person and get to navigate the stereotypes and misconceptions around mental health. The current state of mental health in Africa is a significant concern. Mental health issues are prevalent. Unfortunately, they often go unnoticed or unwanted due to various factors like stigma and discrimination. So I believe that to challenge and debunk the stereotypes, we need to go back into our spaces. We need to work on promoting positive portrayals of individuals with mental health issues and ensuring that we are seeking health behavior innovations. We are involving community people, community leaderships, parents, are involving mostly policymakers and schools, whereby we are ensuring that adolescent girls, young boys, and women are getting information on mental health from grassroots level so that they can grow up understanding what mental health is and how better they can take care of themselves. While mental health issues often require professional help, support, and treatment, so we need to be aware of the signs, challenging misconception, and promoting open conversations about mental health. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Tom Bizeko. We have quite exhausted how we can go about it when it comes to mental health issues. Thank you so much for the well-articulated closing remarks. At this point, I will let my other panelists, Chofa Kingsley Foshman, in a minute. You can lay out your closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to appreciate YALDA for this great initiative, and as well as all the panelists for the wonderful contribution, as well as the participants. I want to thank each and everyone who make out time to join us in this wonderful program. Actually, I just want to make us understand that this is something that we have started, and I also acknowledge the fact that it has taken a lot of effort, and I want to plead that we should always try and make our time as much as we can to share. I so much enjoyed what we did, and I think and I hope and pray we have another session like this maybe soon. And also, not to waste most of our time, depression is one of the conditions, the health conditions in mental health, which is a very complex mental health condition. It includes almost the complex interaction of it's a complex interaction of social, psychological, biological factors that enables an individual now to become retarded. So depression can affect anyone regardless of their social status or the economic status. But how then can we overcome it? Since everybody is exposed, or everybody can become a victim of depression, we can as well unanimously fight it. And how do we fight it? We sensitize. In our local community, we make them to understand that mental health challenges need to be catered for. In any way we can, we just keep doing it. While we wait for the bigger man, which is the government and social civil society organizations, to help empower those who are suffering from it, as well as the community. But we, as agents, we have an upper hand to educate the people and make them understand that mental health challenges or mental health conditions are real and they can affect us adversely. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Chofa Kingsley Foshman, for the closing remarks. So at this point, I will let our other panelist, Joshua Amar, to have her closing remarks. Over to you, Joshua Amar.
Yes. Excuse me.
Yes.
Excuse me, can you repeat?
Yeah, we can hear you. So in a minute, you can lay out your closing remarks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Regarding this event, actually, from my side, and this discussion, it is useful for me from my side, as a one of the mental health advocacy in the MENA region and in Africa. This conversation or this kind of the webinar may opens my mind on a lot of the points. So thank you for this initiative steps from your side. I really appreciate you and all the speakers and the audience that sharing our thoughts, our ideas regarding the mental health, and the mental health is our responsibility all, and hopefully we all make make a difference in this field, and to lead our community, to lead our world in a peaceful manner, inshallah, in the next year. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Rosa Amma, for the closing remarks. Thank you. That was beautifully articulated. At this point, I will allow our last panelist, Previous Mbundundoko, just for the closing remarks. I hope he's still on the call because he mentioned that he's heading home, there is noise. Yes, yeah, oh, he left the call. All right, thank you so much, guys. As you can see the screen, we also have our social media handles. You can like and follow us. This session was interesting. I just want to see some fire emojis in the comment section. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to share with you some important announcement and information about YALDA. So the YALDA iBoot Camp is one of our initiatives that we do at Youth Alliance for Leadership and Development in Africa. So let me just give you a brief summary of the YALDA Boot Camp. So the YALDA iBoot Camp is an intensive program for young African entrepreneurs in trade or wishing to be involved in trade. So it is a YALDA 8th biannual iBoot Camp slated to take place at the Future of Africa Center University from the 21st to the 25th of February 2024, which will be done under the theme of breaking information barriers on intra-African trade, accelerating youth inclusiveness in implementing the AAF-CFTA. So the iBoot Camp will bring together over 350 youth and prominent professionals in person and over 5,000 virtually from Africa and abroad. So the iBoot Camp provides a platform to connect with dedicated investors and overcome the challenges of securing capital. The program offers comprehensive training for business expansion and prepares participants for financing. So the YALDA iBoot Camp is unique in that it connects participants with actual angel investors, seed investors, funds, and debt providers who support exceptional youth businesses. So we are pleased to announce that we have already confirmed the Afrex Bank, UNDP, UNECA, ITC, and the AAF-CFTA Secretariat are our partners. So in the successful organization and implementation of the event, we have the Afrexim Bank, UNDP, UNECA, ITC, and the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, whom we're working together with us to host this iBoot Camp. So ladies and gentlemen, my distinguished guests on the call, don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to grow your business as a young entrepreneur in Africa. We invite all young entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs to register using the link provided on the slide and also provided in the chat box. So we have the link shared in the chat box. So ladies and gentlemen, let's use the link to register. So we also urge you guys, we urge you all our participants to follow YALDA on our social media pages. Perhaps you can also register for mailing list for latest news on Africa, development, employment, and scholarship opportunities, and any other inspiring African youth stories. Yes, so we have the iBoot Camp that is coming in 2024, 21st to 25th of February. So guys, register for the iBoot Camp. So we also have our social media handles. Follow YALDA and let's see how the future takes us. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you for joining on the call. A special thanks goes to my lovely panelists. Thank you for accepting the call and thank you for your well-articulated perspectives about mental health. You have changed our lives through your commitment to be our panelists. Receive my warm vote of thanks to my panelists. Yes, thank you. And to my lovely audience, you have been with me from the start up to today, up to the beginning, to the end. I'm here with you again. I just want to appreciate for taking your time and consideration to attend this session. So the conversation is not over yet. Let's take the conversation in our social media pages. You can follow and like YALDA, comment on how exciting this session has been. And if you have any questions that you want our panelists to tackle, yeah, we will see what we can do about that. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, this marks the end of our session. It was lovely to have you. I was your host, Modesta Piri, all the way from Malawi. I wish you nothing but the best. Let's keep on raising awareness about mental health. We are the voices for mental health change. Thank you so much. On behalf of YALDA, have a lovely evening, morning, or night. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you, and good night.